Yo, let's do some Sunday charting and see what we got and what we can expect coming up this week. Well, first and foremost, let's look at Bitcoin. I'm gonna zoom out to a larger time frame, right? We want to look and see what is the structure that we're in right now. And dun, 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 dun. All right, we're still bearish on Bitcoin. Why do I say that? Why do you say that? All right, we're still bearish on Bit. Oh, what the heck was that? Hold on one second. What's that the way? All right, still bearish on Bitcoin because we're still following this trend here, right? We're going down here. So if we did this right here, this is kind of where we are. All right. This is our this is our long uptrend right here. All right, we've been cranking this out since I don't know, we started bumping 2023, right? We had this crazy run since 2023, all the way up to here. Then we start getting lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. Remember, that tells us we are in a downtrend. So we're still in this downtrend on Bitcoin. Look at the larger time frame. A couple things that we need to happen here for us to change the trajectory here is we need a break. We need Bitcoin to break out of this falling wedge here and reclaim here, almost 100K. Until we break out and reclaim 100K here, we are still in a downtrend. Now, what could happen is we do something like this. Let's see if I get it. There we go. Path. Do this. Boom, 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 and start stepping our way back up like this, right? So when we start stair stepping our way like this, and remember, following our rules, get out of there. And it follows our rules, right? To where it says, okay, cool. Now we reverse and we get a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Then we're starting an uptrend again. But until that happens, we're still in a downtrend on Bitcoin. We just hit another resistance point, right, at the 75, and we continue to see rejection up in here. Now, where we are right now is in between a bullish bounce, what could potentially happen, right? Bottom here, bottom here. So a double bottom here, right, on the daily. So we could bounce out of here and come back up to this line at about 70K, but still we got to blast through here. Until we do that, we're still in the downtrend on Bitcoin. But since we're up right now over the weekend, we want to look at our Bitcoin related stocks. So the closest one is going to be Coin. So we want to look at Coin. And as we can see, Coin has a similar structure to what we saw on Bitcoin here. All right, we have our bottom here. We have our bottom forming here, all within the daily chart. So we could potentially break up out of here and run this thing, I don't know, maybe to like 180 or so. Okay, so that's what we see here. Bitcoin's rising, so we can expect coin to potentially push up too as long as Bitcoin holds overnight. So that's the chart I would play. Why didn't I say Mara? Well, Mara has just announced that they're going to be moving out of the Bitcoin mining space and getting into AI. Now, it could be bullish for them. We'll see what happens. We'll see how that news affects them later tonight about, I think it opens at about 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll see how that news affected them, right? We may run up, but we do have a double bottom here also. Riot probably have similar setup happening, all right? On the daily, we do have here, and then we do have here. So again, if Bitcoin continues and holds, we should see these stocks move a little bit. I would expect maybe about a 10% move on Riot tomorrow. All right, so Riot coin will be the ones I'll keep my eye on. Riot's cheaper, right? Takes less to move. $1 move, $2 moves is 10, 15%, right? And options, that's a very good move, right? You want to maybe 30, 40% if we do options depending on your expiration date. So it'd be Bitcoin, Riot coin will be the ones that I would be looking at along with that. All right, so tomorrow, I believe, let's see here. When is the 10-day expiration for Iran deal? Monday, April 6th. All right. They better open this Strait of Hamas, which is scheduled to expire April 6th. Trump gave them a 10-year deal, 10-day deal. So we'll see what happens. If they open up the Strait of Hamas, we're probably going to blast out of here. We already had this inverse head and shoulders forming here on SPY last week, and look what happened. We went from 645, closed out the week at 657. So that day when this right shoulder formed out, this thing did push up a little bit. I mean, we got a 10-point move. We still have a right shoulder here. So if they come up with a deal tonight, we're going to see this thing explode. If they don't, we're going to probably escalate tensions and say something slick or start some more bombing, and we're probably going to fall again. So all this hinges on what happens tonight when the market opens, when things are daytime over in Iran, uh, to see what happens here. But we got to wait. Let's go down to a lower time frame. Like I like to trade on a 1 hour. So look at where we are. We're right at a demand zone here, right? Right at a bullish fair value gap. So if they do close a deal, we're potentially running back up through the supply zone. Even if we don't get through it, we're still a 5-point move up to 660, right? So that's what we can see. We have that bullish. Also, we have setting up here. If they don't make a deal, we have the bearish reversal. So we just got to wait on that. But the bullish one is going to be powerful because we're also on that right shoulder of an inverse head and shoulders, plus the bullish bounce here to push us up. Yeah, crazy bullish here too. We just need them to make that deal. If we do, we're running. If not, expect us to pull back down. All right, let's go look at tech because we're risk off right now. What does that mean? Risk off means that when market's uncertain, when we have global issues, when we have things like that, the market moves to risk off. The riskier stocks are tech stocks. So people go risk off when there's stuff like this and they start pulling out of things like tech. So that's why we've been seeing this fall off. We got a little bit of return here. People could be anticipating maybe we'll make a deal before tomorrow happens. If we do, very similar to what we see on SPY, we do have this here, right? To where we can continue out of this right shoulder and blast up. But also similar to SPY, we still have this too, right? We have some bearish here coming out of a bearish fair value gap that could pull us back down. It all depends on what happens with this deal. And we just got to wait. Don't want to jump the gun and say, oh, I think it's going to happen because it'll reverse on you and you'll get clapped. Wait for your confirmations. And what do I mean by confirmations? Well, if we're going to go bullish, what do we want to see? We want to see either here at this break of structure or down here on this bullish fair value gap. We want to see a wick, then a body form. That's ugly, but you get my drift. A wick in the body form will push us up. Green wick in body form, not red. Green wick in body form. That's on all your plays. That's what you need to see. It's a basically like a pin bar. So we want to see bullish and bearish pin bars. So let's look at that. Bullish pin bar, right? We want to see these. Bullish pin bar. Run up, then a body form, and people jump in. Or if we're near a supply zone and we don't make a deal, we want to see this bearish pin bar. Body starts to form. We didn't make a deal. We're going to pull down. That's what we want. All right. Bullish and bearish. It's that simple, but we want to catch those at a bounce level. All right. Let's go look at Netflix. Surprisingly, through all of this, even when the market was going down, Netflix has been holding very, very steady here in these 90s, right? Ever since they closed out that deal and whatever happened that, they recovered back to the 90s and they've been holding pretty strong. So where are we at right now with Netflix? Let's go to the larger time frame. Man, look at this. Crazy bars here. Now, this is what I'll say with Netflix. We got to be careful of. Let's erase all this stuff that's happened already. For one, we still haven't retested or closed this gap right here, right? And what's that, like 86? We haven't closed that gap. We also haven't retested our breakout here. So got to be mindful of that. Another thing I see here on Netflix, right where we are on the daily, we have this happening, right? And we have this potentially being a cup, zig, 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 form a handle, then another breakout. So two things I want to see. What happens here, right? What happens here around 100 with Netflix? Do we get up here and we get our wick, right? Our bearish pin bar where we get a wick here and then it pulls us back down to this 95 or lower? Or do we break through this, test, then get a wick in the body to push us up higher? That's what we got to wait for. One right around here at 100. We want to see what happens here, right? Do we break out, retest, and push, or do we run up in here and peak a little bit, then we get wicked out and pull back down? 100 is your level on Netflix to be patient to see what happens there. We need one of those things to occur. All right. Let's look at oil. Since oil's still pumping, let's look at USO, right? As long as this maintains how it is, oil's going to continue pumping. So let's see what happens here. All right. We broke out of this very bullish at 126. We ran this thing up. Freaking what? Man, 14 points here. 14 points on Thursday. Now, again, if we get a deal, we want to see pin bar here, all right, and a pull down, and we'll probably get back down to this area. We'll see oil drop if we find a deal. If we don't get a deal, expect oil to continue pushing up. Let's see where we are on the lower time frame. All right, another nice little setup like all the rest of them. We are right here where we can make or break, right? We're coming off of a fair value gap. We got our wick plus a body forming to where if we don't get a deal, this thing can run right back up here to or run up to this 140. If we do get a deal, we have it enough to where this is a ascending wedge here. We know those are bearish. Ascending wedge can fall back, can fall through this, then boom. So this is what we wait for to see what happens. We break above this one, basically 139. This is a bounce that can push us back up to this 140 and higher. If we lose this 130, 834, this is one area confluence falling out the bottom of the ascending wedge. And then this is the second one, losing that fair value gap. This should be a strong fall if that does occur. Lastly, let's look at gold. No, not leaving that side. I just want to go look at another ticker, DLD. All right, gold. We're right in the middle of a block here, but all right, so here's a couple of things with gold. We have this that can happen, right? And pull us back down. Or we have this that can be a bullish continuation, right? We're bullish, bullish, bullish. We got a inside out candle fake out. This could be a bullish continuation to run us back up to fill this gap. I wouldn't do anything. This right here would be my zone. Here's the top of my zone. Oops. Let's do it different. I don't want to do that one. Let's do this. Or parallel. This will be my zone for gold. All right, here. If we break through here, this basically 430, break, retest, bounce, we're taking this thing up. We go calls. If we lose this 428.74, break, bounce, retest, we're taking puts and run this thing back down, maybe all the way back down to this 421 for a real double bottom that plays out. That's what I would do on gold. But this will be my levels. Wait for this break above 430 for your calls, break below 428.57 for any puts. And then we're still in the market to where it's like, you got to follow your rules. Stop losses tight, right? Take profits in mind and take them. All right, for my futures people, let's look at ES. All right, same type of stuff happening here with ES. All right, depends on what happens with this deal. If we don't get a deal, we already have this double top forming here on ES to where this can just play out and continue to pull down. All right, we see this right here. This can just continue to play out and pull back down. If we get a deal, we want to see this. You see this wick right here with the body, this new candle that comes in. We want to see a wick again coming out of this, plus a body that pushes this back up. But that's what we need to see happen for ES. Yeah. I think that's it. And for those who are new here, if you go to TradingView and go to search by name, I have some scripts here that are pretty fire. Like I have a future script. Let's see if it'll work since we're after hours. But typically what'll happen is this will show you, um, make this a little easier for you to see. So it'll show, okay, this is what we're shorting. The reason is because it's bouncing off of a supply zone or fair value gap. It'll give you your entry, your stop losses, plus your take profit, and a confidence score. So you can start using these to help a little bit with some of your trades also. All right, that's what I got. Catch y'all tomorrow, or I'll be trading a little later tonight once the market opens. But yeah, we'll see what happens in a few hours with at least futures. Peace.